Alrighty guys, what is up? Welcome back to Satisfactory Update 8 with Lone Debater 7. And today we are going to be building out our first modular power plant. That's right, we're going to be taking a look at the refined power mod and building a coal-based power plant utilizing coal heaters, boilers, turbine Mark 1, and low volt generators. We also are going to need a CO2 chimney and a steam cooling tower, but let's dive right on into it. So I built out this platform in preparation, went in, got all the materials. I think 155 modular frames is going to be more than enough in order to pull this off. From my math that I did before starting the video, I believe I only needed 149, so just the 150 here should be sufficient, but we'll see if I was right or not. Um, these 60 carbon meshes is more than enough to build the two cooling towers that we need. I went ahead and put some fluid buffers just to store the water as we bring it in. I also have some ramps that kind of go down to the water level just in case we fall off or need to come down and check our pumps. We can do that. But let's go ahead and get started. Before I do anything else, I think what I want to do first is get our platforms laid out. So we're going to start with the boiler platforms. If you haven't played with modular power before, the way this game or this mod operates as far as this is concerned is you utilize a boiler to generate steam, which is then pushed through a turbine. So the ratio for the Mark 1 stuff is 1 to 1. So one boiler will power one turbine. From what I have calculated, we should, well, realistically, we can do more than 5 off of the pure cold node if we're using coal heaters, but I want to just do 5 because as far as the cooling towers are concerned, we only need one CO2 chimney and one steam cooling tower for every 5 coal heaters and 5 turbines, so it makes our cooling ratio ideal as opposed to our coal input ratio ideal. And I'm more worried about the number of platforms I have to build, right? Because they're pretty expensive. Each of these costs modular frames, which I don't have automated yet, so I kind of want to try to do this in as few platforms as possible. So we've got our 5 boiler platforms. We'll come back to these and stick on what we need to stick on in just a moment. But first I want to place our converter platforms. The converter platforms are going to hold our actual turbines. And I think I want to leave a 1 tile gap. Is 1 tile going to be enough for all the piping madness that we have to deal with? These are just in and then out. Actually, we might want a little bit more space. It might be okay. It'll probably be okay. We'll see how this looks. Let's actually just place one and kind of see what the piping looks like. So if I have, the plan is to put them all in a line, right in line with these boiler platforms, but let's go ahead and put down our coal heater on our boiler platform, and then a boiler Mark 1 on top of the coal heater, just like this. So we feed coal into the bottom, we feed water into the top, and then out of the front, we get high pressure steam, and this exhaust off the coal heater is for CO2, which needs to go into steam cooler or a CO2 chimney, which we'll build at the end of the platform in just a moment. Let's also go ahead and place down our turbine, which, is that right? Yeah. So we place one turbine, which will power our LV generator, just like so. Cool, that's good to go. And then basically we take a pipe from the top, plug it into the bottom, and then we have a pipe that comes out the side. So actually, I don't think we want these right next to each other. I think we want to leave a little bit of space. So maybe we do every other, just to make the build look a little nicer, if that makes sense. So we probably need to expand this platform out a little bit in order to accommodate this. So there's 4. And if we're going to do that, we might as well move these boiler platforms out to be in line with these converter platforms. So let me go ahead and expand this out. I want to have 2 tiles on the end just to make walking down to the end a little bit easier on myself. So if I add 2 more like this, I'm going to break this power pole and bring it back to the corner, like so. Let's take a look at that. So we've got 3, this will be platform 4, and actually I think I need 1 more tile foundation to have the 2 wide. So we'll just build that real quick. Not a big deal. Doesn't matter. So this is going to be way bigger than it needs to be. Obviously you can soft clip pipes and cram all this stuff really close together and it's not going to impact anything. I just kind of want to make this look a little bit nicer than that, if at all possible. Now I do want these pointing in this direction. And then if I center them with our, if you hold control, it'll click or it'll snap to center off of buildings around it, similar type. So platforms will connect to platforms, etc. So that's how I was forcing these to align. So now we've got a one tile gap in between our boilers and our turbines, just to give us some space to deal with the exhaust, because we're going to have a pipe going in the top into the turbine, and then we're going to have piping coming out the side and probably running along this side of the build to our CO2 chimney. Let's go ahead and put in all of our heaters and boilers next. So there's our coal heaters, good to go. Then we need some boilers. Oh, I'm out of reinforced iron. Dang. Okay. I didn't actually calculate how much reinforced iron I needed because I know that I'm making that automatically and should have enough in my box, but apparently 300 is not enough. So this is quite expensive as far as reinforced iron goes. So if you're playing with refined power, you probably want to have reinforced iron plate fully automated before you try to build something like this. I mean, you can handcraft reinforced iron plate. It's not too bad, but yeah, you do need like hundreds of it. Even making the modular frames at 15 seconds per frame is quite bad, or feels quite bad. So yeah, you might want to have that automated too. But anyway, we picked up some more reinforced iron plate, put those in. Now we're going to put in our turbines. Oh, we're missing rotors. I forgot that these take 10 rotors apiece. So I need another 20 rotors in order to finish this. Okay, that's annoying. I need to go build those. I don't have those automated either, so it might make sense to also have rotors fully automated before you build this, but yeah. I am going to just go handcraft the 30 rotors real quick. Because I want to put down all the turbines before I start messing with all the piping. We are going to need 2 water extractors in order to power this. Each water extractor will generate 120... I need rods. Each water extractor will generate 120 water. And yeah, so each what was I saying? 120 water from each extractor, but a boiler is going to consume 45 of that water per minute. So what you need is slightly more than 1 water extractor per 3 boilers that you're trying to run. I figure if I have 2 water extractors and I'm running 5, that little bit of extra headroom that we have from not having 6 placed should accommodate the additional 5, or realistically it's 25 water per minute that we need. We should have a 15 per minute excess. I'm going to utilize the fluid buffers that I have built on that platform in order to kind of capture that extra, so we can store up a little bit of a buffer just in case we have some sort of sputtering with our power or some weirdness like that. We can kind of supplement and still have water available to run our main power plant. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. I know I only needed 30 rotors. I'm just going to build 40 to be on the safe side. That way I don't have to come back over here and make more. But there we go. That's 40. That should be more than enough. So yeah, sorry about that. I should have taken a look at the other resources before starting the recording, but I did not. So anyway, you can kind of see what's involved. Quite an expensive build, but once we get this set up, we're going to have like a ton of power, so we can then start focusing on just expanding our resource production. So now we've got our boilers, we've got our heaters, we've got our turbines, and we've got our generators set up. The last phase of this is actually dealing with the exhaust or the byproducts of this build. So, to deal with that, what we have are cooling platforms, is what they're called. I guess we'll... Can I not just stick this right on the edge? It's probably because of the tree that's clipping through. So I'm going to put 1 here. That leaves us our 2 space on the edge. That's going to be our CO2 chimney. And then I am going to place the other one down at the end, which is going to take the steam from these guys. And I think I do want it coming in on the side. That's kind of what I'd like. So we are going to place this one kind of like the other. Can I not bring this back one? I guess that's okay. That's fine. So basically, we need a CO2 chimney and a steam cooling tower. Steam cooling tower we're going to place here. It's a pretty cool looking building, gotta say. Got this giant dealie on it. The CO2 chimney is going to go over here. CO2 chimney is going to take the CO2 exhaust from our coal heaters and basically just spit it out into the atmosphere. This can support 5 coal heaters, and this steam cooling tower is going to do the same thing from our turbines. They generate low pressure steam that then will be vented by this building into the atmosphere. As you can see, it can consume up to 300 per minute. 5 turbines actually generates 300 per minute. This can do 150. 5 coal heaters will generate 150. So that's how that piece works. So as far as the rest of this is concerned, it's basically just plugging in pipes more than anything. I am just going to add pipes as a 7 on my hotbar. That's where I like it to be. I know I've got 5 and 6 available, but we're not using those. So I'm going to take our boiler output and plug it straight into each turbine. 1 boiler per turbine is how this is going to work. Boom. And boom. Okay. So there's that done. Now, I need to take out our exhaust from each of these and bring it over to our chimney. So I am going to try to target. Really, what I could do first is build the junctions for each of these, because they're all going to connect together. A single pipe can hold 300 fluid per minute, or it's like logistics capacity. So I think running these pipeline junctions out and then just having a single pipeline should be more than sufficient, because the total of this whole thing is only 700, or not 700, 150, right? So we should have more than double the capacity. This one is not perfectly aligned, apparently. There we go. Gosh, I'm going to push 3 so many times, I apologize. Yeah, once we build all these pipes, it's going to be a little bit tricky to actually run through here. That's why I want to take the time to do this right, so I don't have to come back later. You can kind of squeeze in underneath the turbine, I suppose, so that's a good thing. This one obviously is not aligned. Now it should be. Whoops. So you also need quite a bit of copper sheeting in order to build all the pipes. But we set up that build in the last episode. If you have not checked it out, be sure to go do that. The playlist should have been pinned up at the beginning of the video, but you could also just go to my channel and find it off of the Satisfactory 8 playlist that I have. So I think, yeah, we'll just run this guy right along. And I kind of want this to go up so we can get underneath it before it feeds in. So something, maybe if I bring it back to, bring it up. So that's perfect. 1, 2. So actually I need to bring this up. So that's in line. 1, 2. And really it should be centered, right? Yeah. Maybe this angle is better. 1, 2. Go up 2. Bring it in. And then, I don't know, I guess I could have left those supports, but I'm just going to pull them out. Then we can kind of run around and do what we need to. But there we go. That should be exhausting all of our coal. Now, we might have an issue that since this is on an incline, it may not want to feed. We'll check that after we turn the system on. And if there's any issue with the CO2 actually making it over to the chimney, we'll just throw a pump on the line, probably right about here, to make sure that it can get the little bit of lift that it needs to go up the 1 block or so that is coming out. Now, as far as the steam from these guys, meaning the low pressure steam is concerned, I could just soft clip it and bring it right down the side. I actually don't hate that. Bring these out like this. And I think I want to do that first for each of them. And actually, Do I kind of like that better? I kind of like that better than bringing it down at a more severe angle, honestly. So we'll redo this first one. Not a big deal. I mean, this stuff is all like minutia that does not matter at all to the effectiveness of the build. I just kind of want it to look semi-good, if that makes sense. So I have it on this piece here. So we'll just aim for that on the rest of them. And then we'll figure out how to connect these together. Just like with the CO2, we should be able to connect all of the low-pressure steam pipelines together and bring them in on a single line to our chimney for low-pressure steam, our little cooling tower, right? And I think we are going to need a pipeline junction in order to do that. So actually, it may have made more sense to build the junctions first. Unless I could utilize this block right here as part of their like pipe run. So let's just do that, I suppose. Need to make sure this is perfectly in line with this pipe, otherwise it will not connect. And it looks like that should be in line, but I actually want it centered. This block. Just one back. Like that. Is that good? I think that's good. Yeah, that's good. Cool. Do something like this. As far as building this piece is concerned, I'd also really like to have it up a level so I can, get through. I guess I can slide under this pipe, so it's not that big of a deal, but I would like it up at height 2, if that makes sense. So maybe I can force that by building this part of the pipe first. So it really needs to be like right here. So that pipe needs to go back just a little bit. Like there. And then it's in line. I can't go up 2 is the only thing. I can go up 1. Can I actually run underneath that height of the pipe? No, I can't. Shoot. How do I want to do this then? I think that makes sense. Maybe what I do next is take this, go up 2, then bring it down, and then we've got this little like pathway right here that we can slide under. Same thing, if we need head lift, we can throw a pump in right here, I'm pretty sure. Like, let's just verify that. Yeah, we can fit a pump right there if we need it. I don't know if we will. Probably not. Maybe. Who knows? But let's go ahead and get the rest of these junctions placed. So that's in line. That's in line. It's like one off. That should be in line. And then this one doesn't need it. Boom. There's that. Just pull off this support. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you like the pipe supports or not. I personally don't really care for them that much. So I'm just going to remove them. We don't need them. They don't actually change anything. They just kind of add the semblance of realism in the sense that, yeah, generally a pipe is going to have something that is standing on it. It doesn't just float in the air. But, yeah, you know what? We're playing a game. We're going to take advantage of the unrealistic aspects of it if we can. No, not really. Generally, I try to do things as realistic as possible, but there we go. We have this connected up. So now all of our turbines, heaters, are linked up for their outputs and their inputs on the turbine. So this is basically ready to go. I do need to connect these to power. So just like with our wind turbines, these can daisy chain to one another. So I just have to start at one end and kind of run the power back this way. And then from this last one, all I really need to do is plug it in on a power pole. Now, I think what I want to do is actually have this here right there. Do something like that. I know this isn't perfectly aligned, but you know what? It's pretty close. So there's that. Okay. The next piece We could either deal with coal, which is going to be pretty easy, so we'll probably deal with that last. I think what I actually want to do is deal with the water. So I'm going to move these fluid buffers. I just kind of had them placed there. I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted them. But I think I'm going to have one fluid buffer right here. I really only need one. There's not really a reason to have to. So what we're going to do next is... this does make having the height thing a little bit weird. I think it is at a height 3. So we could do something like this, I suppose. That is not straight at all. Let's fix that. I do want these relatively centered. So go up 3, and from there, you'd go into there, potentially, but really, we need, whatchamacallit, these junctions again, in order to make this work. Now, for this piece, it is a little bit tougher, like, placing a floating junction. There's not really a good snap point is the problem. So, instead, you're kind of forced to do something like, so that's 1, 2, so really I need to bring this forward just one tile. Then bring it in, and it'll 90-degree bend. We can delete that piece out, doesn't matter. And then what I'm going to be forced to do is put in a junction off of the existing pipe, kind of like that, and then do the same thing as we move down the line. It's not as good looking as it could be, right? You know, it'd be fantastic if we could make that a little better, but unfortunately we are limited by what the game allows you to place. So we'll just kind of deal with it. Not a big deal. You can snap them straight off of the pipe. Too sharp, huh? So I could build one back here. I don't really like that. Okay, let's try replacing that. What if we go straight in? Then I could put it like here, which is right before. So it's going to kind of do this like bulge out, which doesn't look the best, but you know what? I think we're just going to live with it. It's not the end of the world. It should function just fine. This will definitely need a pump right after this fluid buffer. So we need to put a pump right here in order to give the 2 blocks of head lift or whatever it's going to be. Some amount of head lift needs to be generated in order to actually move the water through this line. So if I throw a pump down like that, I am going to need power over here anyway for our water pumps. So, does that reach? It does. Great. So we've got that. Water is now set up to go into the boilers. I just have to actually place the water extractors, which is going to be 2 of them. We're going to have 2 water extractors, so let's go into production. Water extractor. And I could actually... how do I want to do this? I kind of want to try to maximize this water space as much as possible. So I'm going to build one there. I am missing 2 rotors. Darn it. I should have built 50 instead of 40 or whatever that I made. So we're going to go make 2 more rotors because we do need 2 water extractors in order to run this. 120 water per minute is just not quite enough. So we'll make our 2 rotors. Actually, it's probably because the... I think the pumps also take rotors, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just check that. Do pumps take... rotors? They do. They take 2 apiece. So we're going to go ahead and make 20 rotors just to be on the safe side. While we're over here, we'll probably grab a few more iron rods because we are getting a little low on that. We could also grab some copper sheet because we're a little low on that as well. So we'll take 20 rotors, 10 for the pump. That allows us to build 5 more. We for sure are going to need 2 more, if not a little bit more than that. So actually, we might make a little bit more pumps just so we're ready to go. So let me grab more rods. Let me grab some screws, and let's make, I don't know, let's bring over a total of 30 rotors. That should see us through. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think we're going to need pumps on the CO2 or the low steam in order to get that to go to the exhaust tower, but we might, and I don't want to have to come back over here again. So, okay, 30 rotors. 30 more. I know I said when we came over here the first time that we're going to make enough so we don't have to come back. Lies and slander. Just kidding. Not a big deal. It happens. It's one of those things. So we're going to come back over. We now have enough rotors for our pumps. I think I'm going to build them like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this first pump just past where it's in line. Bring it up. Then we're going to throw down a junction. Align it with this. And feed this pump in. Now these can handle 300 fluids. So this is only generating 240 once it's plugged in. So we should be fine to do this. If I put a pump like this, actually, I think you want it on the actual incline, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to bring over a power pole. We're going to connect our pump and our extractors to this and plug those in right there. That should start generating us water, and we can verify that by looking at this guy right here. We should see some fluid showing up soon. So it's starting there. You can tell because it has this little animation on the pipe. Once it hits the pump, we should see something going on there. I don't know if I have to put the pump on the straight bend or not. Yeah, okay, so there is water flowing. We're not getting a lot of flow rate yet. It's starting to creep up though, so here we go. Once this hits 240, 250, okay, perfect. So fluid buffer is now filling. This pump should be giving us some lift, is my guess. So that pipe has water in it. This is generating about 1 meter. Almost, actually, it is going to be more than 2 meters, 3 meters of head lift. Okay, great. So we do need the pump here. So that is filling up our boilers. We can check that. If we go to I/O, we should see these are going to slowly start filling with water. So it's actually good to get the water flowing before you start filling up the heaters. Now these we can't check until we actually put down the coal. So I do need to run over and grab some coal. Now we're running 5 of these. Each of them takes 15. So 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 is what we need to generate. So we do need a pure node of coal in order to run this, and we're going to have a lot of extra coal. But that just means we can use the same mining point of coal in order to supply the next wave of power that we want to build. So I'm just going to drop most of this stuff off. Yeah, I will need some reinforced iron plate. Probably want some rods on me. I need a little bit of cable, sheeting, screws, rotors. Probably don't need that. So what do we got? We got, this is 3, 6, 9, 18, 20. Yeah, we got plenty of space. We're going to take 1 miner because we need it. We're going to grab 20 of these. All right, that's 20. We've got a little extra room, so what I'm going to do here is... Do I want to bring something extra? I should probably bring a little extra copper sheet, modular frame, and that should see us through. We've got the rotors on us still. Yeah, that should see us through. I'm just bringing that stuff in case I need to build another pump in order to handle the cooling side of this build. But we're almost to having this whole thing ready to go. The last bit is just simply mining a little bit of coal and feeding these guys together. So what I'm going to do for the resource node, I've got water right here, so I think I want my coal to come out right here too. So I am going to build this coal node right there. We're going to put our miner on top of it. Have it face towards the water pump. And then this does need a Mark II because it's 120 that's being exported. And we do need that export rate, mainly because there is that, like, we're gonna have this issue of I need 75 on the total line. So yeah, that's a thing. Actually, I don't want it like that. 1, 2. I want it kind of like this. Just have it sneak around a little bit. And actually, before I place that, let me get the splitters in place. Now, I know normally I do perfect ratio splits, but I think instead for this particular build, I'm just going to place a splitter in front of each of the places we need to split off from. Um, we're going to have more than enough throughput at the front that this will saturate pretty much instantaneously, so I am not too worried about it. I need some Mark 1 belts going in between these, and I think after the second splitter, I could probably... are these all offset like that? Not all of them, just some of them. I do want these in line, even if that means they're not center on the foundation. That's fine. Yeah. Just, I don't want some weird, like, little curvy view going on there. We don't need that. It's going to be a little bit off-center from the foundation, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. I'm less concerned about that. I just want the direct feed into each of these hole heaters to be good to go. So I think this one needs to be Mark II. That one needs to be Mark II. And actually, if I have the reinforced iron, I'm just going to make all of the main line a Mark II belt. That will ensure that everything gets enough coal fed to it. So that's where it needs to be. 1, 2. Just bring it over. And I know that this kind of blocks our pathway. I guess what I could do on that. Can this not go up at all? Lame. Okay, let's take it up a height level off of the export of the miner. And we're going to try to bring this in over the top of our... So I can go up 2. If I keep it at this height, that should clear this pipe. Yeah. And then what I can do is use a conveyor elevator, so like a lift, to feed it. So I can put a Mark II lift and put it into this and taking in from there. I know that's clipping through the pipe, and that is not really how it would be in the real world, but yeah, that's just the way it is, so too bad. So sad. That is not the best bend in the world. It does have to go up a little bit, but that's fine. We'll do something like this. That way we still have access to our little slidey point right there. And I think I will... I really don't want to max out that power pole just in case we need more. We inevitably will if we expand this, so we will go ahead and do that. That will get our miner going and start feeding the coal on this Mark II line, which will then go through. And these are all Mark... That's not a Mark II. That is not. That is not. That is a Mark II. Okay, there we go. Cool. So once the coal hits these heaters, what we're going to see is these boilers are going to start heating up their temperature, right? So these heaters, they are going to cycle. Per cycle, they increase their temperature, right? So we've got coal in this now. So this is going to burn. It's going to increase the temperature. Once that temperature reaches 500 C, it's going to, so the boiler has to reach 500 C. So it's pretty low. It's only at 60. Once it does that, it's going to start making high pressure steam, which then will go into the turbines. Those are going to start spooling up, meaning they're going to start increasing their RPM. And then once their RPM maxes out, we then will have power being generated from this. So while we're here, let's just look. Do we have this flowing through? So this is at 48. It looks like it's flowing just fine. What about down here? Are we still getting flow? We are still getting flow. Full pipe network is about 50. That's at 50. Great. So that is working. It does not need a pump. But we can see this turbine is starting to try to spin. It's not doing it yet because this guy doesn't quite have enough steam yet. But once this boiler gets going, so it's only at 190 degrees, right? Has to hit 500 to reach max production, which should be about 50 meters cubed per minute, right? So it's at 44. We need that at 50 in order to run this turbine. It is a 1-to-1 ratio. So it takes 60. The one boiler will run this. So once these guys kind of get spooled up, it is mainly because we are waiting for the heater to go through its burn cycle enough times to run this boiler up to 500C. Once the boiler hits 500C, it'll make more steam, which then will start spinning this turbine. Basically, you've got RPMs going on here, and I can limit how much RPM I want. I thought I could do that. Maybe I can't. You used to be able to... Okay, I guess you can't limit the RPM. But as you can see, these are starting to now get into the green. They're like 2,000 to 3,500 RPM. Eventually it'll get up. Once it's fully maxed, we'll get 150 megawatts for each of these turbines. So they are starting to spool up. This one is now spooling up a little bit better. I did just want to check on this low pressure steam line. Do we have enough? Do we need a pump here? It does not look like it. It looks like this is just fine. It is going out to our vents, so that is great. We can tell that these first 3 are spooled because they have green. The last 2 are not because they are red. If I look at the rest of this, why are these red? What's wrong with this one? You got water. Oh, it's just because the coal is taking its time to get here. That is the problem with doing this imperfect split ratio. You end up not quite having the throughput that you would desire, so it takes a little bit of time for everything to fully buffer. But these will come online eventually. So once these fill up, so like this heater is full of coal right now, so more coal will push through into the next one. Once this one's full, more coal will push through, etc., etc. So eventually, we're going to have 5 turbines generating 150 megawatts of power apiece. So 5 times 150 is going to be 500 plus another 250. So 750 megawatts of power is what this little build is going to be generating for us. So if we take a look at our first turbine here, that guy is now doing a full 150. It's going full steam. This guy has its max RPM. It's got plenty of steam. It's got, well, I mean, I say plenty. It has enough steam to keep running. It's exhausting its low pressure. So great. Eventually, all the rest of these will turn on. If we come over to our power network, as you can see, our capacity has shot up. Now at trough, we have 940, 950 megawatts of power available. Now, obviously, that includes our biomass burners, which are eventually going to get ripped down because we do not need them. Kind of contributing a little bit as well, but that is a-okay. We'll kind of deal with that later. I'll tear those down off camera. It's not a big deal. They just are no longer needed. This more than replaces the amount of power that was being generated by them, and also gives us extra power to work with if we want to expand, put together like a rotors build, for example, or a modular frames build, for example, and we want to build both of those things. So anyway, guys, I'm super excited. We got our modular power factory built out, and it's now, well, it's not fully generating the 750, but probably in the next 5-10 minutes of game time. So if I stay on the world loaded for about 5-10 minutes, these last 2 generators will get up to speed. So they're already starting to spool up. They just haven't spooled up like the first 3 have, because they're just now getting their reliable source of coal. But once that occurs, we then will be generating a total of 750 megawatts from this. So quite expensive. I mean, like looking at the resources, it took about 150 modular frames to build. Probably took 300-400 refined iron to build. Took about 100, maybe 150 rotors to build. And then the iron, rod, cable, and copper wire as well all goes into that. So quite expensive, very much worth it. Now we don't have to worry about power for quite a while, which is fantastic. I am super stoked about that, because power is one of those things that seems to always be like your bottleneck in this game. But it shouldn't be like that for us for quite a while now. So yeah, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoyed kind of seeing how to put together a modular power station. From the refined power mod is what adds all that stuff in. It's at least, each turbine is at least twice as efficient as a coal power plant from the base game. So yeah, we are getting quite a bit of value out of this guy right here. You can see the little particle effects, pretty cool. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up here for today. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe as always. And until next time, this has been Lone Debater 7, and we will see ya!